Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Jake with PackMan Sports on the Pro Bowl. Yes, the focus right now is who makes it to the 2022 NFL Pro Bowl. So I have made my list of players that I think should make the Pro Bowl. There's a lot of players that on this list right now, as you see right here, that actually have been named to the Pro Bowl, but these are all just based off of my opinions on who has made the Pro Bowl. I'd have to say on here that there are some names on here that are pretty foreign to some people. I'd like to highlight a few players of note that some people that would probably are not going to say that, why is this person on the list? Well, it's probably because this player is not popular. And we all know that the Pro Bowl voting is based off of popularity. And players that are deserving and maybe some that are not so deserving always make the Pro Bowl just because of their status and because of their popularity. Also due to stats. People just take a look at stats as opposed to the overall play of each individual player. So it's not just stats, it's based off of Pro Football Focus rating, which is what you see right here, and it's just overall production and how this player impacts his football team and how he contributes to the football team. Derek Carr, that's probably a name that a lot of people are probably not going to say that he belongs in the Pro Bowl, but Derek Carr has been, I think this is probably one of his best years as a pro. A lot of people are going to discount him because of the Raiders' record, but Derek Carr, I think, probably deserves the Pro Bowl nudge over Patrick Mahomes by a little bit. I do have him making it as an alternative, but I think Patrick Mahomes this season just hasn't really been that good. He hasn't been very consistent, and this has been a down year for Patrick. But he's starting to slowly pick things right back up, and it's a very good possibility by popularity that Patrick will make the AFC roster. And Damian Harris is a name that is probably somewhat foreign to a lot of people. Damian Harris has been a very good piece to the New England Patriots offense. He has been arguably one of the better running backs that a lot of people have never heard of. An 84.7 Pro Football Focus rating really helps his case. He has been fairly consistent. Him and Devondre Stevenson for New England has been a lethal duo, and that has been one of the reasons of the success for the New England Patriots offensively. It's not just Mac Jones, it's the fact that they can run the football and play defense for the New England Patriots, and Damian Harris is the key to that Patriots offense, really. And I know a lot of people want to put the rookie sensation Jamar Chase for the wide receivers for the AFC roster. I think he definitely deserves recognition. I have him as an alt, but I think that the four players that are mentioned before him, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Brown, are the better players right now. Jamar is a rookie, so he's kind of got that one-year wonder kind of a thing going on him, but he certainly has a whole lot of potential, and I think he will be a Pro Bowler in the years to come. But right now I just think that Tyreek, Stephon, Keenan, and AJ probably deserve the nod over him. AJ slightly over him, and the Pro Football Focus rating backs it up. And for the offensive tackles for the AFC, Colton Miller, that is a name that is pretty foreign to a lot of people. Colton Miller is a pretty good solid left tackle for the Raiders. I thought he's done a very good job. He's graded out pretty well, and I think that he deserves some recognition into the Pro Bowl. And then another name that is probably foreign to a lot of people is Max Crosby. He has actually been named to the Pro Bowl. He actually was named because there was a list of players for certain teams that were already named. But I did have Max Crosby on here because he is a former fourth-round pick who has outperformed his draft status. His 91 Pro Football Focus rating helps his case. He's both great in the run. He's both great in the pass and against the run. Just a really good football player for the Las Vegas Raiders, and this guy is very immensely underrated. Just because of the fact that he just doesn't have the sacks doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a good player. And I think Max Crosby is certainly a good football player. And now I'd like to be able to go to the NFC side, where this one is going to be a little bit controversial here, where there's some players that are probably a little bit more deserving than others. I'll first start with Matthew Stafford. A lot of people probably think that Matthew Stafford is not Pro Bowl worthy. I totally disagree. I think Matthew Stafford has been a very good, consistent quarterback. He's had a bad stretch where he's thrown a couple of interceptions, and that probably damaged his stock a little bit. But I think Matthew Stafford has been underrated for a number of years by playing on the Detroit Lions. He has not gotten his fair share of recognition as a good quarterback, and I think that this year he probably deserved the nod a little bit over Kyler Murray, a little bit over Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins. I think that it should be Brady, Rodgers, and Stafford representing the NFC for quarterbacks. Running backs, this one was difficult for me. There were some running backs that just haven't graded out in the NFC in Pro Football Focus, but I always go by impact. The fact that Delvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott have made such big impacts on their respective teams. Delvin Cook is a stats monster. He's up there and has dominated the NFC when it comes to the stats category. Ezekiel Elliott has been kind of a shell of himself ever since his first 2 seasons as a pro, but he has slowly creeped right back up into being one of the better running backs in this conference. Aaron Jones to me was something that I don't know, I was uncertain about Aaron Jones. He certainly hasn't really looked like a Pro Bowler this year. But I think that by the virtue of the fact that Aaron Jones he's just a multi-dimensional running back. He can really take things between the tackles, he can stretch things outside, and he's a threat in the pass game. So that's why I chose Aaron Jones, not just because of my Packer bias, but just because I just think that Aaron Jones is that good. Alvin Kamara, I think you could probably make a case for him being in there. I would like to add him as an alt, but I'm not quite so sure. He's had a down year, kind of similar to Aaron Jones in that respect. He just hasn't been quite as good as he has been in the past, which is why I have Kamara off for this year. And then wide receivers, I have DeAndre Hopkins. Even though he's dealt with injuries, I think he would be doing a little bit of a better job if he had been healthy. DeAndre Hopkins remains arguably one of the better receivers in this conference, so that's why I have him making it slightly over some other wide receivers here. I'm going to check my alternates. CeeDee Lamb, I think I have him making slightly over CD. I was 50-50 on choosing Hopkins over CeeDee, but just by virtue of the fact of the injuries, that's probably why. And I think that CeeDee Lamb, as good as he is, DeAndre is still the better receiver, so that's why I went with him. And tight end, this one was difficult between Dallas Goddard and TJ Hawkinson. TJ and Dallas are pretty much neck and neck when it comes to production, but Dallas Goddard did grade a little bit better than Hawkinson, so that's why I gave Goddard the nudge over Hawkinson. Not because he's a Detroit Lion, it's just the fact that I just like to take a look at Pro Football Focus rating the stats and just the impact of that player, and I think Dallas Goddard has made a little bit of a bigger impact on the Philadelphia Eagles than Hawkinson has had for the Lions, respectively. And then for center, Brian Allen of the LA Rams I have making on there. The Pro Football Focus rating is there, but just not the name, and I think that Brian Allen on a very good offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams is enough for me to say that he should be able to make it. Because I think Brian Allen has been underrated all throughout this time, and I think it's time that he gets some recognition, and he's going to get it from me. And then some other names here that are foreign. The New Orleans Saints defensive tackle. He's graded out pretty well as at 83.2. I think that Amayada should be able to make it to the Pro Bowl. I know that he won't because of the name. It's all a popularity contest, but Amayada has been a really, really good, stout piece to that defensive line in New Orleans, and he's one of the reasons why the New Orleans Saints can be so stout on defense. That's why he helps stuff the run. I know he's had a little bit of a run-in. He got into some trouble, had a 6-game suspension, but when he's been on the field, he's just been very good. He wreaks havoc, and that's why I think he should be on the Pro Bowl this season. And then for the outside linebackers, I have Micah Parsons listed out as an outside linebacker. He can play in the middle too. But for the purpose of him being in the outside linebackers, he's been able to be a pass rusher. He's been able to rush off the edge a little bit as an outside linebacker in Dallas's defense. He is clearly one of the better players in this game, and he's been a great pass rusher. Not so much in coverage, not so much against the run, but Micah Parsons deserves it, deserves a Pro Bowl spot. And then Shaq, Barrett, and Robert Quinn. I think Robert Quinn is an outside linebacker, but he could be listed as a defensive end. So that's why I have 4 outside linebackers, even though there are only supposed to be 3 per roster. I could stick Robert Quinn to the defensive end spot, but Robert Quinn is listed as an outside linebacker in the Bears 3-4 defense, which is why I have him there. I was very hesitant to put Robert Quinn on here. He does have the sack production, which is why I ultimately chose to go with him. But his 68.8 Pro Football Focus rating kind of almost made me think to not put him up there. And because he is an outside linebacker, and there are 3 more outside linebackers that are more deserving of his spot than Quinn, Von Miller, Parsons, and Shaq Barrett, the outstanding Tampa Bay Buccaneers outside linebacker, I think that Shaq Barrett, not a big name, but does deserve a spot because he does impact the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that he is a disruptive force as a pass rusher for Tampa Bay. And then for inside linebackers, Devondre Campbell and Bobby Wagner. I think that Devondre won't make it, but I believe he should. Devondre has graded out so well in Pro Football Focus. He has been a very good, consistent player for the Packers. 82.9 Pro Football Focus rating is enough for me to say, hey, Devondre deserves it. He has been good in every single category: coverage, run defense, and the pass rush. He's done a very good job in all of those areas, and that's why I believe that Devondre Campbell deserves to make it to the Pro Bowl this season. And then AJ Terrell for the Atlanta Falcons. Who would have thunk? With an 87.3 Pro Football Focus rating, he has come out of nowhere to be a really good, solid cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that he should be able to make the Pro Bowl, but I don't think he will. And that is disappointing, to say the least, that AJ has done a very good job. He has been very good in coverage, and for the Atlanta Falcons, he doesn't have the numbers, but he's been a very good football player. And I think he's only going to get better from here on out. And then other names, Jalen Ramsey, we expect him to make it. Marshawn Lattimore, I think, is a pretty good name here. A lot of people don't really give him as much recognition as they should. Same thing with Darius Slay. They're not really big names, but they're very good, consistent cornerbacks. And that's why I have Marshawn and Slay slightly over Trayvon Diggs, because I think they have been better in coverage than Diggs. Diggs just has the interceptions, but I do believe that Trayvon Diggs should actually get... he does make my list as an alternate because he does have the interceptions, but that's why I have him outside of making the Pro Bowl, just because the 4 guys listed ahead of him have been better in coverage. The safeties, I have these guys: Winfield, Marcus Williams, and Harrison Smith. Marcus Williams has been a very underrated safety for I don't know how long. I think he was snubbed out of the top 100 for top 100 players in the NFL. He has been a very good, consistent safety for the New Orleans Saints, and he's another one of the reasons why the Saints are so good on defense. And the coverage in the back end for the safeties for the Saints have been so good. Marcus Williams is your key guy. But those are my lists for the Pro Bowl. I know a lot of people are probably going to say that I'm an idiot, but you got to do your own due diligence to go take a look at more than just beyond what you see on the stat sheet. Take a look at, watch film, go over Pro Football Focus ratings and the impact of the player before you make a judgment on who should make the list. Like I said, I do have alternates here, and these are my alternates for the AFC and then the NFC right here. A lot of people are saying that I snubbed these guys. Well, I think some of these players here on this list are going to make the Pro Bowl, and there are players that are going to bow out of the Pro Bowl, and some of these players that are on this list will make it to the Pro Bowl. And with that, I'll catch you guys later for another one. Go Pack, go.